What's up? Mrparka here to do a review for Breaking Glass Pictures, or Vicious Circle films. And this one, it came out quite a while back. It actually came out May 10th. But I had heard some buzz about it, and it sounded really interesting. Obviously, being a big horror fan, being a fan of movies like The Burning and Madman, I wanted to check it out because they said that the Cropsey name had originated from that. But this is the, here's the little screener they sent me. This is Cropsey. Basically, this movie doesn't really, it kind of goes into the mythology of Cropsey a little bit, but it kind of goes into more of the murder case of this little girl named Jennifer and other missing children that disappeared. What basically this director kind of like childhood horror stories and where their mythology spread from, and how Cropsey became real through the murders of this of these little children, or the disappearances of them. And it focuses on this Andrew, what was his name? Andrew Raid or Rod? Oh, let me see. Just watched it. I cannot remember his name, but Rand. His name was Rand. And basically, he's accused of these murders of this poor mentally handicapped girl at first, and goes into details about the case. It has all these different branches leeching off, and they kind of let you decide if he's really guilty or not. And most people say yes, because, you know, he could have been a scapegoat because he was looked up upon these other homeless people. He was an orderly at this old creepy hospital where they think that affected him, and all sorts of things like that. And it kind of unfolds in the story, and you kind of develop your own opinion, as the movie states at the end. And you're not really sure. I bet everyone has their own different theory about this case. And it's really sad to see these children die. It really touches your, it kind of disturbs you. I was getting teary-eyed out of anger, and I was getting a little disturbed. There's this really terrible scene in there where they go through and they show old Geraldo documentary where he goes in this mental institution in the 70s at Staten Island, and just all these people there, and that's where Rand worked, and it was just terrible conditions. It made One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest look like paradise, and that was in the 50s. Supposedly took place in the 50s, I believe, or 30s, I'm not sure. But anyways,
the Halloran Hospital in Willowbrook.
Right, it was Halloran, and then it became the Willowbrook State School.
Exactly.
Willowbrook was strictly for the mentally ill?
Yes.
Back in 1972, the Willowbrook State School was the subject of a famous expose by a young reporter looking for his big break.
I first heard of this big place with the pretty-sounding name because of a call I received from a member of the Willowbrook staff, Dr. Michael Wilkins. The doctor invited me to see the conditions he was talking about, so unannounced and unexpected by the school administration, we toured building number 6. The doctor had warned me that it would be bad. It was horrible. There was one attendant for perhaps 50 severely and profoundly retarded children. Lying on the floor, naked and smeared with their own feces, they were making a pitiful sound, a kind of mournful wail that it's impossible for me to forget. This is what it looked like, this is what it sounded like, but how can I tell you about the way it smelled? It smelled of filth, it smelled of disease, and it smelled of death.
Despite Geraldo's report, it still took more than 10 years before authorities began shutting down Willowbrook. Many patients were transferred to group homes, but others were left to fend for themselves. There were those who believed that some patients, out of confusion and habit, returned to the 365 acres of Willowbrook to roam the abandoned buildings and live in the tunnel system that lay underneath.
This is taking place in the 70s, and it looks that bad. And most of the kids that disappeared had some sort of illness to them. They were mentally handicapped, and one was actually 21 but had the mentality of a 15-year-old. It's just really sad and disgusting to think. And the documentary makers started corresponding with Rand and getting weird letters and everything. And more people have these theories about satanic cults and black masses, and it gets everywhere out there, and everyone's theories are in there. Detectives, people who search for the kids, their theories. It's really elaborate, it's really well done. It does a great circular story, starting with Jennifer and going all the way back around. Not circular, I guess I wouldn't say. It starts with Jennifer, the case that brought it to light, and it goes to cases of missing people that happened before, and they kind of link him to that, and they never really, and also they're going through a case that he's being, he actually was convicted of the kidnapping, but he could be convicted of the murder of Jennifer because of lack of evidence. But he's been in prison forever, and they're bringing him back out to convict him of a kidnapping and murder that happened previously, of a body that wasn't found. And they go through the court, and you don't know if he's going to be guilty or not guilty because he's almost up for parole if he's not guilty in this. So it's just really a gut-wrenching experience here, and you really are very interested in what happened. The narration is very excellent. Everything about this movie is great. It's really interesting documentary with a lot of disturbing visuals and a lot of good information, and the idea that they keep calling Staten Island like this human dumping ground for trash, for mentally disabled, for physically sick, for trash, and everything about Staten Island to underground Staten Island. There's a whole nother world of people just living, just disturbing stuff here. Really makes you think, and it's really entertaining. It's really well made. I can't recommend this enough. This is Cropsey. I'll probably be going to buy the real DVD very soon. I finally got around to watching it, but this is really awesome. These are some of the crumbled buildings in the asylums and stuff like that. But thank you for watching. Have a good one.
What we found was a number of people that actually lived here when Willowbrook was up and running and in full swing tend to come back here. So there was a whole underground of people that still lived here even though all the buildings were closed. And Andre Rand was definitely one of them.
Andre Rand worked as an orderly at the Willowbrook State School from 1966 to 1968. For years, he lived in numerous makeshift campsites in the woods surrounding Willowbrook. He was also the lead suspect in the Jennifer Schweiger case.
There was 2 witnesses that stated that they saw her walking along the street with a middle-aged gentleman, and he had a female green bike with a basket on the front. The week before, I was in ShopRite, and I saw Rand. I recognized him from a prior case. He purchased baby food, and he got on a green female bike with a basket on the front. At that point, bang, I said, it's Andre. I saw him last week.
Rand was immediately brought in and questioned in the girl's disappearance, but released for lack of evidence. After 4 weeks of surveillance in hopes of finding Jennifer alive, he was arrested. Rand had been familiar to police after pleading guilty to sexual misconduct with a 9-year-old girl back in 1969, a crime which he denied.
Good afternoon. Here's what's happening. A homeless man, 43-year-old Andre Rand, is under arrest. He is charged with the kidnapping of 12-year-old Jennifer Schweiger.
The suspect was picked up last night here at the Church of the God Within. Police had questioned him as early as the 2nd day into the investigation. And after 4 weeks of making a case against the man, they finally decided they had enough to get a conviction.
I've never seen a perp walk like that. Watching him coming out, looking like he had lost his mind, it further angered people in the community. That image forced a lot of people to say, that is the killer. That man is not right. Look at him there, drooling. And it certainly caused me to ask a lot of questions. Who is Andre Rand? Did they get a crazy man and just say he's the guy? Or did they really have good evidence against him that would stick in a court?
I used to teach the Andre Rand story in my journalism class, coming down the steps of the courthouse with a headline, "Drifter Arrested." Well, what does that mean? It means guilty, right? Whether he is or not, I don't even, I don't know the whole story either, but it's a lot easier to do it that way than to say, you know what? It might be somebody on your block. It might be somebody you work with.
Did you ever think that anybody else was involved?
Well, we always had to think there was somebody else until we could just rule it out. You always have to keep that in the back of your mind.
As I said, and plus by going by our witnesses, if you consider our witnesses credible, it was only Andre and Jennifer. There was no other person.
Of course, when we had him for the 26 hours, where was she? Did he leave her with somebody else?
With Rand's arrest, the search for Jennifer turned desperate. Rumors were spreading that someone, maybe even one of Rand's friends, was hiding Jennifer and moving her late at night through the tunnels underneath Willowbrook.
I want my daughter.